Greetings YouTube, JC, Bad Edit Pro, and as you can see, it's a lovely day here in the neighborhood. Nice spring day. Had some clouds roll in. Had some sunshine when I was planning on coming out here and doing this video, but it took me a little while to get out here and get prepared, and had some clouds come in, but it's still very nice. This time around we're going to talk about some records that I have recently acquired that have some sentimental value to me. And first of all, I wanted to show my mother, who I will be sending a link to this video, that I did receive the very interesting article that appeared in the Virginian Pilot newspaper not too long ago. The Virginian Pilot is the newspaper in my hometown. This is the Pulse section, and I don't know how well you can see this on the video, but it's an article all about the resurgence of vinyl, and they talk to the owner of Birdland Records in Norfolk, which is a famous record store in that town, and he talks about how much vinyl he's selling now, new and used. They even talk about where to get turntables and the differences between the cheapies and the good ones in here. Good article, so thanks, Mom, for sending that on. The first record that I want to talk about is this one right here. This came in the mail today, and this is Mellow Gold. It is a collection that was put out by a company called Sessions in the mid-'70s. As a matter of fact, this is from 1976. And for you young whippersnappers who don't remember those days, at that time there were 2 or 3 companies that did these compilation records. And, of course, K-Tel is notorious because they used to take like 20 songs and cram them on one album to sell them as cheaply as possible, and the audio quality was terrible because they reduced the the quality to be able to cram it onto one record. These guys, Sessions, were a little different. Their audio quality is fantastic. Not only that, I would love to know who actually put these compilations together, because they did such a wonderful job. They used just enough equalization and compression to really make the songs jump out of the groove. Now, this was one of these compilations that I had years ago and just happened to run into online. I couldn't believe I found it. These records, Sessions records, were not available in record stores usually. You had to order them. The company would buy advertising and in magazines and radio and television, and that's how they did it. It was direct marketing. And the records are manufactured by Warner Special Products, as a matter of fact. So the quality is great, and they EQ'd them and compressed them just enough to really make them jump out of the grooves and to make everything flow. And by the way, if you happened to be listening to WLTY radio from about 1990 to 1993, WLTY in Norfolk, you've heard songs off this record, because at that time we played CDs, or we would take vinyl and put it on broadcast carts. We would cart them up for broadcast, and I had a copy of this record at that time and brought it in, and several of these songs made it on the air. This has the best sounding version of Dock of the Bay by Otis Redding I've ever heard, and that was the version we played at WLTY. Good Time Charlie's Got the Blues by Danny O'Keefe came off of this. Baby I'm Yours, Barbara Lewis. Several cuts were put onto broadcast cartridge tapes and put in the studio for airplay. So it was a very nice find and a nice memory for me here. Mellow Gold. Now, this part is specifically for my mother. I got in some trouble at school when I was younger, and my mother, it wasn't my fault. I had a teacher who was just being nasty. And anyway, my mother wanted to make me feel better, and like she had done since I was a very small child, she went and bought me records because they were my favorite things. And she gave me these 2 records, and this has been 25 years ago now. And I got curious whether I could find them online. This is Barry Manilow's If I Should Love Again from 1981, and this is from 1982, an album called Here Comes the Night. Now, interestingly, Here Comes the Night has never been issued on compact disc. it has in Japan, and you can buy an imported copy, but it never came out in the United States. This album is available on CD, and I don't know why, but Arista Records doesn't seem to have this in their catalog on compact disc. This was the last pop album that Barry Manilow recorded in 1982. And I got these, believe it or not, new. They had been sitting in a warehouse somewhere for a very long time, and I found them online. And if you look very closely here, you'll see CRC, Columbia Record Club. So that's where these came from, and when I bought them, they had been in the packaging for 25 years, and the records were in perfect condition. So quite a steal there. I had to pay a little extra money for the Here Comes the Night album, too, because it's not available on CD, only vinyl. Tom Jones, Greatest Hits. This is a 1973 Parrot collection of Tom Jones songs. The audio is fantastic on this record. And I got this online as well, and it's in its nice collector sleeve. Very nice copy of that indeed. I like Tom Jones. And last but not least, here's a favorite. This is Frank Sinatra, Songs for Swingin' Lovers. And this is not the original 1958 version of this. This is one of Frank Sinatra's most lauded albums. It's supposed to be one of his very best, and it is one of my favorites too. Frank Sinatra and Nelson Riddle. The album was originally released in 1957 or 58, and this is a reissue that Capitol Records put out sometime in the 70s. And the only drawback to this particular record is, of course, since the album was recorded in 1957, it was not recorded for stereo, and the original record is mono. However, when Capitol reissued this, they did a little dinking around with the audio, and they put like a comb filter effect on it, so it would have a little bit of a stereo presence. It's not a whole lot, and it's not really annoying, and it doesn't seem to affect the actual quality of the sound any, but it's not straight up mono like the original. But I wanted to get the record just to hear Sinatra's voice coming off of a vinyl record, and believe me, it sounds better than it does off CD. Although I did order some Frank Sinatra CDs not too long ago too, so I'll have something to compare it to. But anyhow, that's the latest in the records, and some records with some sentimental value here. Really have enjoyed spending my afternoon listening to Mellow Gold. And if you see any of these sessions collections at, yard sales or thrift stores or whatever, if they're in good shape, go ahead and pick them up. You're going to be very pleased with the sound, and you'll also be pleased with the versions that they put on here. These are mainly the single radio versions of songs that they used on these. So this was a way in the 70s and 80s to get your hands on some of those copies without having to go out and collect the 45s. And they're in stereo as well. Usually they would opt for the stereo version of the song, and very nice indeed. This record's held up pretty good for being from 1976. I wouldn't call it pristine or mint condition, but definitely playable, and it's great to listen to. So if you ever see any of these sessions things, be sure to don't pass them up. Don't think they're, like junk, because they're not. JC, Bad Edit Pro, waving bye-bye. Talk to you soon.